What is up, YouTube? I know I'm a bit late with this news, but there are still many important topics that I would like to unpack regarding the latest Subnautica 2 news and the screenshot that we have seen recently. So let's get started. But keep in mind that almost everything I'm about to say could possibly change during early access. We've seen rapid story changes, cut content like the Ice Dragon Leviathan in Below Zero, so nothing is going to be 100% official. But we know that the name will be Subnautica 2. This was something a lot of us were confused about, but this proves that Below Zero was just a canonical spin-off. But this makes it extremely significant because it won't be a direct continuation of Below Zero, but according to Abraxas, it will have story threads that link it to the other two games. And this was confirmed in an interview that he had with Anthomnia. I will link that in the description. If you haven't seen that, you definitely should. So what makes this even more interesting is that Subnautica 2 will take place on an entirely new planet. It makes me a bit confused though, because I can't help but wonder, is this the precursor's homeworld that Robin went to in Below Zero? Because if so, it would have to be a direct Below Zero sequel, right? But moving on, one thing that's official is that early access will not be released in 2024. Early 2025, no doubt. And again, for you console players, that means probably no final copy until late 2026 to early 2027. I know there was a lot of anger when the words games as a service was heard, but thankfully Unknown Worlds quickly shot this down with a tweet stating, "We simply plan to continually update the game for many years to come, just like the previous two Subnautica games. Think our early access update model expanded. No season passes, no battle passes, no subscription." But here's the thing. So updates for many years to come could still mean a lot of things. There could still potentially be DLC with a cost. And the reason why I say that is because Below Zero was originally intended to be DLC. So we might still see new maps, side quests, and Leviathans that could come for a price. And also, I'd like to point out that Abraxas in his interview did not exclude the possibility of DLC in the future. Multiplayer will finally be added, and it will be done right because it will not be in any way the main focus of the game, but an entirely optional way to play it. Very similar to the Nitrox mod, it's not going to be linear or changing the storyline in any way. There will be a fairly small amount of players that will be able to join. Hopefully, there will be a much more powerful version of the Nintendo Switch released by then, because multiplayer on a Switch would be really fun. In his interview with Anthomnia, Abraxas says there will be a creepy void, so hopefully we'll finally get a chance to do some void exploration this time, because I think it's quite obvious that second to multiplayer, void lore and exploration has been one of the most popular demands. Some creepy anglerfish or gulper eel looking creatures would be terrifying to see up close. Okay, now we're going to be moving on to a couple of these screenshots. I know you have already seen them. This one is the first one, I believe, that was released. We see a couple of fish here, a beautiful coral landscape. Right here is the higher definition image that I have. It shows our first glimpse of a submersible. It shows a larger, not quite Leviathan, but a larger predator, and then possibly way here in the distance, as we saw in Anthomnia's video, he talked about a crab way in the distance. So I'm going to break this down and I'm going to talk about each one individually. So what I have done, I've taken each image and I have broken them down, and I have turned them into a transparent PNG, and I have sharpened the image as best as I possibly could using a photo editor. So this right here is our first glimpse at a submersible. And when I first looked at it, at first I thought that this was some sort of metal turbine, maybe that was spinning, but it's pretty obvious that this is the propulsion right here. And when I looked at this, I finally started thinking that maybe this is some sort of like a link. These are possibly wires that connect to something. And so if I had to guess, I would say that what you're looking at here is sort of like a sea moth, but it is just the cockpit that would connect onto other devices. So say, for example, you have a prawn suit that you build. This would be your cockpit that you build before that, and then you would take that and connect it to the center of the prawn suit. Now, if you have a larger submarine, then the same principle. You would take this and simply connect it to the front, and it might possibly open up back here, kind of like how the Sea Truck does with the attachable modules that it has. This is my guess, of course, but I think this is definitely a connection for some sort of networking. I don't know how to word it, but this is definitely going to connect this to another submersible. So let's look at our first larger, not quite Leviathan class creature, but this to me kind of sort of looks like a killer whale. And I say that because it looks like this is the eye, but I'm willing to bet that the eye is like right down there, very small. And I'm seeing a lot of bioluminescence. The mouth looks like it's bioluminescent. I see some bioluminescence around the tail. Very interesting pattern, really cool design. It's kind of sort of like a shark slash killer whale mashup, in my opinion. I think it looks really neat. So in this image right here, if you zoom all the way up here, you will notice that there are some fish. It took me a while to figure out exactly what they were, but they do have an eyeball. And so I got the closest image I could possibly find. I know it's not good. I sharpened it the best I could, but we clearly see a mouth, an eye. It looks like we see the fins up here and down here. So I'm not sure how this is going to look once it's finally done, but this is definitely a tropical looking colors, like a sunburst kind of vibe. It really, really pretty looking fish. To me, I think that this is going to be the bladderfish replacement. And I know some people said it looked like a jellyfish. Maybe it will have a sting, I don't know, but clearly seeing the transparent body around the sides, I think that this is going to be full of water, and this is what the player is going to catch to get water as a bladderfish replacement. Now, this does share some similarities with some of the other fish in the other Subnautica games, but this does have a four-fin or four-wing, however you want to call it, design. A very large mouth. It looks like it would definitely be eating plankton. Very goofy looking fish. This right here has been compared to the flowers that heat you on Below Zero, also maybe even the mesmer, but then it also kind of gives me it reminds me a little bit of that fish that freezes you in Subnautica Below Zero. I forgot what it's called, but for some reason it gives me that kind of vibe. There's no telling what this will do. Hopefully they don't copy this directly from the mesmer. I hope it does something completely different, but we do see some similarities with that art style. And I know, as you all have been wondering about this crab. Now, some people were saying they thought it might be a hermit crab, but I think that the rock behind it is just way too big for this thing to carry on its back. This is the best I could clip from the image. I mean, we're seeing three eyes, but the thing is I think from its angle, I think that there's another eye on the other side over here. And the reason why I want to highlight this particular fauna is because Obraxis did say that he wasn't 100% sure if this was going to make it into the final game. So I would like for everyone to please let him know that we need a crab. Like we had the rock puncher in Below Zero, but a crab is something that Subnautica has really, really needed. A crab Leviathan. I would like to see this upscaled. I'm not exactly sure how large that this is going to be in comparison to the player. Based off the distance, though, I would say that this is definitely going to be Leviathan class. Big enough to eat you, no doubt. We definitely want this to be in the final game, so let your voices be heard. Let Obraxis know we want the crab. But that is all I have. This was just a quick video, just a kind of highlighting some of what we do know about the fauna from this screenshot. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you think that this submersible might actually be used for. I think that that is a connection right there. We got some really interesting coral, and if you think that some of these might change over time, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.